Yeah, I mean, when we were kind of talking a little bit before, Susan said, we want to connect with the policymakers and we want to be able to interface. And I'm like, be careful what you wish for, in many ways, because I think that, I've been very fortunate to be able to share this work with people that I would say have the ability to do a lot of good. And the intention behind why they're asking to speak to me is, I think, in the service of helping their own communities. So for the past 6 months, I've had the opportunity to speak to federal judges, obviously, some corporate leaders, and then, most recently at the Pentagon. And the interesting thing about the Pentagon presentations or time there was that it was done, my co-presenter was a 2-star general who actually, at the time I began my work in the military context, was the colonel that said, yes, come work with us. And what's very interesting now is, and not just now, but that kind of launched the whole work, is that there is a big need. There's been, 15 years of continuous conflict that our military service members have been engaged in, and there is a big need for them to help with the amount of challenge that they face. That's on the one hand. So, with regard to psychological treatments and assistance and resilience for them is important, and I think a lot of good work is happening. There were a few presentations today and at this meeting regarding PTSD and veterans and that kind of work. And on the other hand, if you're going to send a group, just as I was talking about earlier, if you're going to send a group of people who have been under a protracted period of high stress into a war zone where each individual person has a weapon that could destroy an entire village, wouldn't you want them to have all of their attentional capacity so that they're not responding in a reactive way? And what was really striking in my conversation with the general is that he said, we train people to be ready to look for certain things and then respond. But sometimes that training can harm them because they're not actually observing what's in front of them. They're not actually discerning what's happening. And that prevents them from acting with awareness. And the cost to those people themselves, of course there's devastation that they could inflict, but the cost to themselves is lifelong then, when they themselves make errors. So his reason for supporting our work and for partnering with us was really in the service of helping not only on the psychological health side, but also to minimize the amount of reactivity and errors that could be made. Because, we were talking about earlier with regard to ethical code, one thing we know is that regardless of the ethical code that's presented to any of us, if we are in a depleted, exhausted, overly stressed, threatened state, that code is not present in our mind in that moment. We are not able to consciously have the cognitive capacity to hold it so that it guides our action. So part of what we're doing with regard to the Pentagon itself has been to talk about a way forward. If we're finding that it's beneficial, how can we now scale up training? Who are the right kind of trainers we should partner with? What should the training look like? What should be its components? And the components themselves have not only the mindfulness aspects that are similar to mindfulness-based stress reduction, but they have connection and kindness as aspects that we want to put in. Because as he says, this General Walter Pyatt, compassion is more powerful than bullets. And he said that at the Pentagon. He said, in no uncertain terms, that this is not about some soft, weak thing. This is the way we need to be. If we're the ones charged with this kind of behavior and this kind of engagement, we need to have compassion at the front of our minds in anything that we do. So that's some of what I've been up to.
Thank you.